you've ever felt different after being around certain people, not mentally, but in your body, there is a reason for that. And silence taught me something that I didn't expect. So some relationships only feel normal when you're disconnected from yourself. And they say you are the people you hang around with, and that's not just a motivational quote. There's actual psychology behind it, and your subconscious is always listening. So even when you think you're not paying attention, you naturally pick up on people's words, their behaviors, their energy. And if you've seen people that like have been in long-term relationships and they start saying similar words, sometimes they might not even notice that they're doing it, or they might be like caught off guard when they start even using it, sometimes using the word that the other partner always uses. So sometimes people do this on purpose, but most of the time it's completely unconscious. And this becomes even more important if you don't fully know who you are yet. So if you don't know yourself, you are more impressionable, not because like you're weak, but because you are open and passively taking in all this like information, and without even talking to yourself in your head about like, yes, no, yes, I agree with this, no, I don't, like, stuff like that. And so it's because, like, let's say for example, most of us go from school to jobs to social circles, and we don't even pause to learn how our mind works. So our nervous system doesn't even know what the baseline is, doesn't know who we are, doesn't know probably what calm is, depending on what kind of lifestyle you've been in or chosen or unconsciously chosen. So when you don't have a strong sense of self, mirroring others can feel normal. It can feel like belonging. Now, add nervous system conditioning into this. Some people grow up around chaos, like and it's like, yeah, like a lot of people don't have a choice, like they're born into a situation where there's a lot of chaos and intensity, lots of constant stimulation. And that doesn't mean that like they're going to end up in bad relationships or bad situations. Some people know that that's not what they want, and there's something within them that takes them to another path that they purposely choose as well. But oftentimes we do have to start learning about our mind and what we're allowing and not allowing based on what we were used to. Because calm starts to feel boring for a lot of people, especially in those situations, or just people that may have even just gone, like they could have been in beautiful, loving homes, and then they ended up in a situation, in a toxic relationship, and then calm might start to feel boring for them too, right? And anxiety starts to feel like excitement, right? All those things start to become confusing, um, and misguided. So that conditioning can come from family dynamics. But they can also come from shows and movies we watch, video games, screens, substances. Watching just even short videos all the time, right? Could also be a factor. So there's a lot of different factors that could be at play all at once. And of course even like the food and stuff and the type of music you listen to and the words they have in it, like there's a lot of factors that come into play. And the important thing to understand here is this: your body can crave what it's used to, not what's actually healthy, right? And so I'm sure a lot of people can understand this idea. So this is where things can get confusing socially. So certain people pull specific energy out of you, but that's not even like the best way to say it, because they're not like purposely pulling energy out of you, but they're creating a certain type of energetic roller coaster, perhaps, um, just by being who they are in their energy field and who you are in your energy field. And together, that's what it comes to be. Or you pick up on that, or you play into that, or start imitating that, or you want to be around that. So you might feel a roller coaster when you're around them, perhaps. You might enjoy parts of them, but afterwards you could feel drained, unsettled, dysregulated. but you could also ignore all those and not know that that's how you feel afterwards, right? Um, and I want to be clear about this. These aren't bad people, right? Like we could use the word like toxic relationships, toxic, but it doesn't like these aren't like bad, awful people. And because then the brain will start thinking like, oh my God, be scared of everyone. And that's not the situation here. These aren't bad people. They're just not for you. They're just not aligned with your nervous system or with where you're trying to go, right? And maybe for them, it's the same situation, right? You just are both not supposed to be on the path together, and you don't need to learn, be part of their lessons. And then there's like the ethical side of this. When you don't really know yourself, morality can become situational. So the best way to explain this is like in business. So you see it a lot in business. So people want to learn from those who make money, perhaps, who look successful, but they start ignoring red flags when ethical lines are crossed because perhaps they put them like on a pedestal or something and they think like this is how it's done in business. And so influence doesn't just shape behavior, it shapes values, and success without integrity still teaches you something, just maybe not what you want to become. So, this is also why internal boundaries matter. Even listening is a form of influence, but you don't have to absorb everything you hear. So, you can talk back internally to yourself. You can reaffirm your values. You can say, I hear this, but I don't agree, or I don't align with what they're saying. And you could either choose to do something about it if need be, or if you feel like you could talk about it to them afterwards, or if you feel like you have to be silent in that situation for whatever reason, talk to yourself internally. That can help protect your sense of self more than people realize. And so now I want to talk about silence because this was a big one for me. So when I started spending more time alone, figuring out what kinds of like meditation worked for me, guided, unguided, different exercises, like things that brought me more joy even. Like sometimes I was like, oh, I'm not going to do these workouts. I'm going to go for a bike ride, right? That made me more joyful. And so breathing techniques even, and and it was like they're calm, peaceful bike rides. They're not like mountain biking, right? Because at this point I'm trying to find my peace, my calm and stuff like that. And then even when I remember when I stopped going out on weekends and partying and stuff, and then I would sometimes feel the urge to want to, and that because that was the norm for me. But over time, when I started enjoying other things, I started realizing like, oh, these places like don't make me feel good, because I started realizing like the pull that I felt wasn't a great feeling. But there was a period of time where I didn't know that I was being pulled back and I was excited, or I felt like what they say FOMO, like fear of missing out. So, but this is all to say, like, just doing more things by myself helped me recalibrate and figure out my baseline, like my calm. And so, silence gives your system a baseline. It can, like, a type of silence, type of peace can give yourself a baseline. So, when I would start being around people again, everything felt really, really intense. So sometimes that's just because you haven't been social for a while, and it's important to recognize that as well as a factor. But other times it is your nervous system perhaps saying like this energy isn't for me, and knowing when to read that, how to read that, and learning about your intuition and how to ask and confirm if this is a yes or no. And so you could ask AI prompts how to increase your intuition, I'm sure. And so learning the difference between those two is where the intuition is going to be the most important, to be honest. So when you know peace, your body recognizes when it's gone as well. So that calm, grounded feeling becomes a really, really, really good reference point. It's not avoidance, it's not isolation, it's really good information. So silence also teaches you what you value, what you believe, where your ethical lines actually are. And it doesn't mean like, okay, now I'm silent and now it's teaching me all these things. It's being active about it is what I really mean. It's like being in the silence and learning about yourself, about your values, your belief, your ethics, your morals. And by writing it down, your brain retains that information better. So when something happens in a certain situation that you used to compartmentalize and say like, this is business and this is how we do business, you would say like, oh, that doesn't align with me, because then your alignment and your peace become really high value. They become gold, right? Like really important things that you need to make sure that you take care of, right? It's an investment that you've made in yourself to know that like, oh, okay, if I go off track, that that is really, it's an expensive thing to do to myself, right? It takes a lot of time and energy and figuring out what's been happening through your subconscious perhaps and stuff like that to come back into alignment perhaps. Um, and and yeah, so again, where your ethical lines actually are in relationships, in business, in the way you move through the world, it's going to become really important in all of this. And eventually you start asking a different question, like on purpose. You asking like, what kind of person would I be proud to look back on? Even by looking at yourself as like your future self and being like, what would my future self do in this situation? The future self that you are proud of, that you know that is in alignment, that is loving, that is kind. Bring that person into alignment with you right now. Be like, I am that person. What would I do? But you could also separate that person and for a bit and say like, okay, what would that person do, until you start embodying that. And then learning discernment takes time. So it can take trial and error, it can take support, and even honest, and a lot of honest self-reflection actually. But over time, this calm and peace becomes a really good compass, and it lets you be in the ease and the flow of life as well. Like I find that you can be in ease and flow in a way that is not as like, okay, I have to manifest this or else I'm not going to be in ease and flow. It's just like that becomes like a natural thing. You're in alignment. You're doing things what's in integrity with you and with life, and you're doing what's right, really. You're doing what's good and what's right. And then over time, like your body is going to start teaching you who's aligned. And as you start listening to your intuition and start realizing the difference between excitement and anxiousness and stuff like that, you're going to start hearing your body more and more clearly. And obviously like meditation or mindfulness types of exercises are going to be really helpful with that too. And so the whole idea of this was about like, you are who you surround yourself with. And I want to make one last thing clear, is that it's not about judgment. It is about discernment, but it's about taking responsibility and knowing that you get to choose who you surround yourself with. And if for whatever reason you think you can't in these situations, believe you can, especially if you're like into manifestation and trusting, having faith in the world. Believe it, embody it, do it before sleep, embody that, what it would feel like, and know that it's already come and it's already here, and going into sleep knowing that, oh, I already lived this aligned life. I'm so proud of my future self, like of who I am now and stuff like that, because then you'll get to really live in this beautiful world where you can see the synchronicities, see the magic, see the ease, see the flow that is always happening around you, and like take that in as like gratitude, and keeping that gratitude and that level of like peace, calm, gratitude, and joy as your baseline. And then you'll see that like it'll be easier to see the green flags and the red flags, and again, not about the judgment. It ends up being like, oh, okay, they're on a different path. That's not for me. And yeah, and so it ends up becoming a much more in tune life and intentional life, really. So yeah, hope this helps, and I'll see you guys next time. See you all next time. Bye.